Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, Yes You Can Home Educate. I'm Jenny, mum to 6 and home educator to 4 children now. My 2 eldest have flown the home ed nest, they're in at college. So I've just got my 15-year-old, 12, 10 and 5-year-old. In this video I'm going to be sharing with you the resources that we used last year with my 5-year-old. So she would have been officially in reception year. And I want to do a bit of a roundup of what worked well for us last year, and hopefully that can be of use to some of you who are out there ready to start home educating your young ones. I'm going to focus particularly on the things that helped her to learn the alphabet sounds, early phonics, reading, handwriting and early maths and numeracy. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the camera around and we'll take a look at some of the books that worked really well for us last year, and hopefully some of you can take away ideas from this. So we're going to look at what we used for phonics, early reading and writing. The first book we used was the Preschool course book from The Good and the Beautiful, which is an American homeschool curriculum. I did do a flip through about a year ago and went into the details of the company and their ethos. So if you want to go into more detail about The Good and the Beautiful preschool course, then do please go to the link, which I will include in the description below and try to link up here as well. Really what we got out of this by the end of the year was she learnt all the letters of the alphabet really well. She learnt the sounds, the basic sounds of the letters of the alphabet. She learnt all the uppercase and lowercase letters. She learnt basic numbers to 10 and was able to understand what they represent. So very basic numeracy. So there's lots of repetition all the way through the year. 90 lessons. You basically do 4 lessons a week, 1 a day, and so that was very simple. There's an app that goes with the course, and there's a little song for each letter of the alphabet that she learnt throughout the year. And we learnt basic colours. She did a little bit of cutting and sticking. She learnt about basic shapes, so that's to do with maths as well, sorting things into groups. So that's how the preschool course book went. There are other little bits that I show in the flip through that I did a year ago, little games that come with it, an extra book with extra activities. This one, the practice sheets, and it was again just familiarising herself with the letters of the alphabet, but we just did different things like that. Later on there were other little activities that she would do, loads and loads of activities, letter matching, number matching, etc. So it came with that. The Good and the Beautiful was very good for familiarising her with the 26 letters of the alphabet and their sounds and what upper and lower case looked like. That was what we got out of it more than anything. The other book that I used, which was, I think, turned out to be actually even better than this and probably could stand alone, was the Phonics handbook. And funnily enough, it was a bit of an afterthought. It was recommended to me by a home educating mum that I know, a good friend of mine, and I bought it for about £8. It was a first edition. I think there are subsequent editions. Got it from eBay and it turned out to be excellent, and I would say it could even be a standalone course and it would have been fine even without The Good and the Beautiful, although I was happy with The Good and the Beautiful because it provided lots of extra activities and practice, and so I was happy to have it. But the Phonics handbook is a British company. It's written for teachers, and I think this worked really well. It might suit many of you out there. It basically gives you a bit of an idea of a timetable for the first term. This was a bit quick for me actually. I think for the first 9 weeks they wanted to go through all these letters very quickly, and I went a little slower than that, but I think this in conjunction with the Good and the Beautiful, she ended up becoming very familiar with all the letters and the sounds. This is very much more focused on learning the sounds. It is a bit more advanced than what the Good and the Beautiful provides, so it teaches more sounds, the O and the I, E, or, O's, Ch, Sh. It covers letter recognition, letter formation, blending, so reading, identifying sounds in words, gives you little sentences to dictate eventually, and they learn the tricky words that aren't particularly phonetic to read, that you just have to learn, and everything is covered there. The first section explains everything to the parent or teacher, which is really good. So if you take the time to read, and there's not a whole lot to read really, it's about how they learn the sounds, all the different vowel sounds, and the alternative spellings of vowels in words, learning letter formation. It really covers everything, reading and blending, identifying the sounds in words, and gives lots of ideas for activities that you can do. Tricky words, sound sheets. So I'm not going to do a full-on flip through again like I did in that first video, which you can go to, but it was excellent, this book. It gives you all the master photocopies. You do need a printer where you can photocopy, that scans and copies, or access to a photocopier for this, but it gives you worksheets. Each letter has a little story that goes with it. They learn actions so that it taps into that side of the brain, using actions to remember, using audio-visual cues to remember the sounds. Each worksheet gives you some example words that use the sound, and then there's practice of writing, and then obviously you can extend that yourself in a little exercise book, which is what we did. There's colouring in, so that was really good. And then we had flashcards which we used, and I used these. I made a little book for her. Eventually this book had all the sounds, and she's able to just flip through them all and read them all, which was very helpful for reading. So you could use it to make something like that. There's lists of words, so these word boxes with the reading. As they learn the sounds, then these go together with the sounds that they're learning. And so I made all these little word box books that I just simply photocopied and stapled and cut out together, and she's able to read all of these by the end of the year as well. And then as she learned these, I could dictate little sentences to her. So all of this is possible with this one book, like I say, which you can get the newer edition, but this older edition was fantastic and very affordable if you're looking to save money. And then there's other little activities you can do, which actually we didn't really get to. Sentence sticking, plenty of things to do. So, but the Phonics handbook, like I say, I think could stand alone, even without the Good and the Beautiful. But the two working together we found really useful, and I did use both equally. I went through the entire Good and the Beautiful course, which was great, and then we did most of this as well. And then together with this, I wanted a reading program for her.
The little bug said, "Oh, now I will eat." So the little bug ate a leaf.
I was using Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, which is an American book. We're into the third week of year one now. So in the whole of the reception year, we got up to lesson 62, which means that she is now reading at this level. And this is it's a different way of teaching reading. It may not suit everybody. Some people may not like the idea of how it works. They may be concerned that it confuses your child because it might conflict with other programs you're using. but I didn't find that at all. The reason I'm saying this, I'll explain. They write the sounds in a particular way in order to get the child reading pretty quickly, and so they get that thrill from being able to read quite soon. It's this order of learning the sounds, and they will distinguish between vowels, for instance. So an E with a line above makes the E sound, as in the word eat, and then later on they learn the E without the line on top that makes the eh sound, the short vowel sound, and so on. Like ing is written in this funny way with the line across the top. The th is written as a connecting word, the sh, and so on. So some people may not like that. I haven't found that it has confused her at all, even though we were using it in conjunction with those other phonics books that I've just shown you, and she's progressed really well. They start with, like I say, in this order, these sounds. They learn to read left to right with the arrow, and it basically tells you exactly what to say to the child with each lesson each day. We didn't do it exactly every day. I did it every few days, or sometimes we'd leave it a week or so. That's why I'm only up to lesson 60 something. And we were also interspersing with other readers, of course. But I found that this, together with what we were doing, has got her reading quite well. So there's another little recommendation. I've used this with a couple of my children, and it gets them reading and getting the thrill from reading quite soon, and then they start looking at other books themselves. And as you can see, it has this different way of writing the sounds, which gets them reading quite quickly. But by the end, the funny letter symbols, they gradually get taken away. So if you complete the course, then that potential confusion is removed anyway, and they're able to read without all those extra symbols. So something to look into if you're interested. We really loved using these, and she really enjoys doing this book, even though it does look quite dry to just look at. It isn't. It's special one-to-one time with me and her. At the end of each lesson there's a little story, so to speak, and when they read the story there's always a little picture at the end. So I cover up the picture, she reads the story, and then at the end there's some questions about the picture. So it's always a surprise what the picture's going to be, and then we uncover it and we look at the picture, and she quite enjoys that. So that's Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. Oh, one caveat is that it is American, so some of the spellings, there's a discrepancy with how we spell things. I think particularly the one that comes up is mum, spelled M-O-M, and I have simply just used a whiteout to turn it into a U each time. So I've got around it like that. I don't think I've found anything else that has stuck out for us in terms of spelling other than the word mum, and that's how I've got around that. At this age it's worth getting a book with wider lines. I think these are 2 centimetre lined books, and you can get them from Amazon fairly cheaply. So I would just get her doing her practices in this book. So you can see we were practicing the words from the Jolly Phonics. Apart from that, we use this English handwriting book from CGP, which is again a British-based company and very affordable. These books are about £3.99, £4.99, and this was quite good. She worked all the way through this, practicing her pencil grip and letter formation, and I think they have more than this. And we've moved on to the year 1 version of this as well now. That will be for a future video. We'll go through what we're doing this year for year 1. So that is what we did for handwriting. I also felt that the maths in The Good and the Beautiful was not enough, I didn't think. It is quite basic compared to what's expected at that same age level in the UK. So again, I use CGP books and these worked really well. You can get them in different formats. This format is the autumn term, spring term, and then there's a summer term, which we actually didn't get to, but I've moved her straight into a year 1 program now with White Rose Maths, and she's coping really well. And a lot of it's repetition at this early stage anyway, so any gaps she may have, we can close those gaps and just go through them. I was really happy with this. Each one of these covers the 12 weeks with the lesson a day, and it's literally 1 page a day, which is quite easy to do. So each of the autumn, spring and summer books covers each of the 3 12-week terms of the year, and it also covers the national curriculum. And they're well worth looking at their website. They offer many different resources that people use, and very affordable. As I say, I think they're sort of $4.99 around that price range. You can get them from Amazon. They have their own website. You can get them from WH Smith's and Waterstones. It's quite good to go in there and you can have a flip through before you buy. So yeah, CGP for Maths is what we did. We do have a subscription with Twinkl. And for those of you who haven't heard of Twinkl, it is an online library of educational resources for everything from early years learning all the way up to GCSE level studies. I think they're well worth getting. If you join the Twinkl Facebook group for home educators, which I will link to the description below, at various times throughout the year you can get a home educator's discount, which is well worth getting. So for any other topics you want to cover with your child, anything that comes up, any extra handwriting practice, Twinkl is just brilliant. I mean, there's so much on here, it can be overwhelming. You will find everything from lesson planning for home educators, the home education hub, many worksheets on all the subjects and topics you can imagine, PowerPoint presentations, and that's just to mention a few things. And if you get the ultimate membership, it comes with the Rhino Readers resource for free. This is an entire reading program, which again is a much cheaper way than if you were to buy a reading program, which can be easily well over £100 or more. So here you've got a graded reading program all the way up to level 6. So for instance, this one, it's called Ben. There's a description. You can go into the book. So at the beginning, but it goes through all the sounds, focus words, and then they can read the story, and it's an entire reading program. So joining Twinkl, even just for this, is cheaper than buying an entire reading program, and well worth doing for the subscription. I think our subscription was about £70 a year, but for that you get so much. For instance, I was looking recently about autumn topics for my daughter, colouring ins, maths practice, handwriting practice, science topics, you name it, it's there. You get the picture of all the kinds of things that you can get on Twinkl. I think these are the main resources really that worked very well for us that I can recommend. Obviously we did lots of reading, and this went along with the outings and just day-to-day life skills in the home, and just learning from what's going on around her. We do extracurricular things. She does ballet, she goes to Rainbows, which is lovely. It's the youngest of the guides, they're called Rainbows. She goes swimming. We go to a home ed club once a week where she can socialise there with other children. With all of that, her first year, I'm very pleased with how she's done. I think the level she's reading at, she was very ready to move on to the year 1 level resources that we've moved on to, and she's coping quite well. She doesn't seem like it's a challenge. She seems to be where she should be, as far as I can tell. And so I hope that was helpful to you. These are the things that helped us in her last year, and she's very ready, as I say, to move on to the year 1 resources. And I hope to do a video about those in the coming weeks, and hopefully that might be of use to some of you as well. But please let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any other recommendations, we can all learn so much from each other. Please, if you haven't already subscribed, do subscribe and share with those who you think might benefit. And if you have subscribed, thank you. And I hope to see you in the next one. And don't forget, yes, you can home educate. Bye bye.